The series Perros Sagrados y sus Chamanes is located out of my concept gallery in San Miguel de Allende, Guanajuato. Perros Sagrados is an art exhibit that opened back in 2019. During the art opening, I invited a Zapotec healer to come and do the blessings of the Xolos Quinkles. A lot of people came and arrived with their Xolos Quinkles, and we performed the four directions. I really enjoyed this show and I made some sales. I created this series out of my concept gallery. A concept gallery is when an artist like myself investigates a theme and then spends months and years creating a body of art that represents my interpretation of this theme. In this online art exhibit, I will be fusing the following pre-Hispanic elements like cempasúchil, Xolos Quinkles, with Mexican military icons like the Zapatistas, blended with Catholic and Islamic elements like lilies and pomegranates. The theme I chose was personal well-being, and the purpose of the series was to focus on the process of healing and transformation. In the 15 years or so of living in Mexico, Day of the Dead has become part of my yearly holiday. Therefore, I thought it would be really cool to create a series of paintings that showed the death of the old self to allow the new one to emerge. And so I decided to gather up all my personal baggage and use myself as the muse. Now, we all have baggage. Mine happens to be shame. A woman's body is a temple, and oftentimes I feel the burden of living up to this expectation, to society's expectations, and to others people's expectations of how I should act, the clothes I should wear, especially as I age. When I look into the mirror, I have an idea or an ideal of what I look like and my own perceptions of beauty. But when others take pictures of me, they never capture what I see in the mirror. As a result, I created this painting of a woman in lingerie wearing a ski mask, dressing herself in front of a mirror. The ski mask is inspired from the Zapatistas, for I wanted to create an archetype that protests shame. Let's get up close and personal and check out these candles. Burning candles in Catholic art symbolizes time running out. And so the idea of fleeting beauty and that my time on this planet is so short was important for me to record in this painting. Now let's move to this part of the painting. There is a theory that the pomegranate was the first apple that Eve ate. And since apples can't grow in Jerusalem, to me that kind of makes sense, no? In the Middle East, the pomegranate is a symbol of fertility and abundance. Oftentimes, they are given at weddings to the bride and the groom. The axe is a symbol for cutting down trees and cultivation. And so this painting represents a woman who is anticipating the removal of the past so that she can make way for the future. This painting is called A Date with a Shaman. Now, I did an entire series about this woman called Legends from the Realm of Nepantla. And if you're interested to know more about her, is go to www.isisrodriguez.com. I wanted to create a male archetype that understood suffering. Soldiers understand violence and suffering. Many come back from war with post-traumatic stress disorder, and many feel guilt and shame from their war experiences. I wanted to create a spiritual warrior who arrives with great power that can defend us from our demons. When we move closer into the painting, we will see the words Veni, Vidi, Vici tattooed into a stomach. And this is a very popular Latin phrase, which probably a lot of you already know, which means I came, I saw, I conquered. Now let's look at this part of the painting. Fog is the boundary between illusion and reality. It's a place of crossroads where our minds can be unclear of where our future may lie. The name of this painting is The Cure. In this painting, we see a shaman near a campfire smoking tobacco with his dog. Smoking tobacco is traditionally used in the Americas in rituals and ceremonies. In many indigenous cultures throughout the world, the smoke of the tobacco is considered to connect us to the spirit world. In this detail, we see what's called a Copalera. A Copalera means in Spanish a vessel that burns copal. Copal is the sap that is collected from its tree. Once dried, it becomes a hard resin that resembles kind of like a rock that is then placed inside the copalera with a piece of charcoal. Then it is lit. The smell of the smoke is very pleasing to the senses, and it is commonly used in limpias. Limpias means to cleanse in Spanish. And this process is used to cleanse a person from bad spirits and bad thoughts. Now let's put our attention to this detail of the painting. This brooch holds the cape together, and this brooch is in the shape of the four directions. Now, the four direction represents four cardinal points: the east, the west, the north, and the south. And it's a common ceremony done to orientate ourselves. And most shamans and healers are in charge of this particular ceremony. The name of this painting is called The Thinking Shaman. Now let's move on to this art piece. This is a portrait of a shaman carrying a copalera and a xoloscuincle in a field of cempasúchil and lit candles. In this detail, we see that his helmet is filled with the ancient herb laurel and branches from the tree, which is called a perul. The origins of laurel go back to the Mediterranean regions of our global world. They were made popular during Greek and Roman mythology, where the wreaths of laurel were worn like crowns to symbolize victory in athletic sports and for military victories. Perul is a tree whose origins are from Peru in South America. And they made its way into Mexico during the conquest, for its smell attracted the shamans in those days, and they decided to incorporate them into cleansing rituals. Now, the cleansing rituals with the perul branches are used to beat the backs of the person that needs healing, and they will beat them to remove these bad spirits. In this detail, we see cempasúchil. Cempasúchil is an indigenous word for marigold, and it is native to Mexico. The use of this flower varies from ethnicities of 500 years ago in their religious festivals and ceremonies. For example, the Aztecs used it more for medicinal purposes, for digestions, while the ethnicities located in Michoacan used them as paths to and from the spirit world. This was because of the cempasúchil's bright color and wonderful fragrance that could attract the dead so that they could find their way back easily. The name of this painting is simply called the Shaman. This is the third archetype, which is a famous hairless dog that I mentioned earlier called a xoloscuincle. The word xolotl in Nahuatl means evening star and references a god, and Ixcuincle means dog. The name of this painting is called Tibu en Ritual. This dog was once buried with the dead to guide their souls to the Aztec underworld called Mictlan. Many pyramids and their tombs are filled with the bones of these dogs, which have suggested to archaeologists that this dog was sacrificed. In this particular painting, we see a pair of hands holding a xoloscuincle puppy. The hands are inspired by the praying hands of Jesus and positioned in an uplifting way to suggest that this dog is going to be sacrificed. The name of this painting is called Perros Sagrados number 1. Perro Sagrado means sacred dog in Spanish. It is the first of a series of them that I did later on. If you would like to know more about this dog and its mythology, just get on my VIP list and I'll let you know of the next online art exhibit. Now let's continue to this painting. Here we see the Shiman Blessing a masked woman who holds a xoloscuincle dog in her arms and a white lily amongst a field of lilies and cempasúchil. When I was a child, my Mexican grandmother would bless me before leaving her house. Now, the blessing would take place outside her house before I got into my parents' car. And I've witnessed a lot of my Mexican friends being blessed too in this way by their relatives. So, blessings are normally done to ensure the well being of someone before they embark on a journey. Now, let's delve deep into this painting and observe this part. Here, the shaman wears a helmet covered in perul and laurel. In the back, however, is a crocodile skull. Crocodiles are pre-Hispanic symbols of death for a variety of indigenous ethnicities like Mayan and Zapotecs because it pulls you under the water. which is seen as the underworld. If we move to this part of the painting, we see in her hands that she holds a lily. Lilies can be found in many parts of the world. The Madonna Lily, which is what I depict here, is native to the Middle East and was used in European religious paintings as a symbol of purity, beginning with the 5th century, hence its name, Madonna. It is also commonly used in funerals to mark the change from living to spirit, where the spirit goes to a place of peacefulness and rest. She also carries a Xoloscuincle, which is the Mexican hairless dog that I mentioned before. I wanted this particular dog to be part of the death of my old self, so that I could be a symbol of self-sacrifice for the greater good of myself. The name of this painting is The Blessing. This concludes my online art exhibit called Perros Sagrados y sus Chamanes. If you would like to know more about me, all you have to do is go to www.isisrodriguez.com and join my mailing list to hear of all the upcoming online art exhibits and also in-person exhibits that I will be having in the future. Thanks for listening.